Hello, everybody, and welcome to my first ever Wilds of Eldraine draft here on the channel. Huge shout out to Wizards of the Coast for giving me a free preview account in the early access event, the streamer event, so that I can show these cards off to you early and get you some nice draft video material. If you would like more of an overview to the set with top commons, archetype overviews, and things like that, my draft guide is up on the channel already, and you can find that in the description down below. But we are going to be starting things off with our first ever Wilds of Eldraine booster pack here, and the Enchanting Tale slot is not particularly strong, so we're not going to focus on that for too much time. There is going to be one of these in every pack. If you do take them, you can play them. In the uncommon, our second rare, however, is quite cool. One that I'm really excited to try out. If an artifact enters play, you get to put 2 counters onto the Archivist, which does include food tokens, which are a theme in green this set. For example, Hollow Scavenger would make foods. And then when you have an aura, or I guess just enchantment, then you draw a card, which triggers once a turn. So if you play this on turn 2, it can quickly grow into a formidable threat. This is a great early pick. We'll just want to prioritize some food and then some cards that make auras or enchantments, which, because the roll mechanic is in this set, is quite good. In the other uncommons, I like this one quite a bit. This one's also quite strong. And then in the commons, I think Fell Horseman is a pretty good black common. Ratcatcher Trainee is pretty good in red. Redcap Thief is pretty good. Hollow Scavenger is pretty solid. But I think I would take Stormkeld Vanguard second out of this pack. Potentially. I mean, it's just a pretty cool option. Oh my gosh, this is a perfect follow-up pick to the Elvish Archivist that we already have, because this says when enchantments enter, draw a card, and this says when an aura enters, draw a card. And this will really let us prioritize the cards that come with auras. So this is a card that I'm really tempted by. There's also a rare in this pack, so I'm wondering what the person next to me took, because they look like they took an uncommon, so there are some good uncommons. But Tanglespan Lookout's a great follow-up to the Archivist, and Bramble Familiar is just a great card. It's a 2-drop that can be a mana dork, so it can tap for green, and you can then bounce it back to your hand, and then you have the option of using the 7-mana version, which lets you just put a creature directly into play, which is pretty cool in the late game. I think I'm going to take the Tanglespan Lookout over Bramble Familiar. It does send a bit of a weird signal, but no matter which green card I pass, it's going to send a bit of a weird signal. This card is really good, but this card plays really well into the theme that Archivist already wants me to do, and having some redundancy in this sort of effect will allow me to really prioritize cards like Curse of the Werefox, which is a really good card that I would hope to be able to get some copies of, and we'll see how that goes. And now we see another uncommon that plays into this exact same theme. When an enchantment enters under your control, you can pay 2, return it from your graveyard to your hand. So a nice little recursive threat. Starting off a draft with 3 cards that all reward me for having enchantments or auras enter play seems like a great place to be. There's also Virtue of Strength as a mythic rare. Multiplying your mana by 3 doesn't tend to do much in limited, because by the time you have 7 mana, your hand is usually relatively empty and you've usually deployed most of the cards you care about. If I was to take another card out of this pack, this card is quite good, a 2/2 that can give you the ability to filter when you have a big creature. And then in my deck specifically, Unassuming Sage is a card that I'd be happy with, because it comes into play with a sorcerer token attached to it if I pay 4 mana, which would then draw me a card with this, and then even bring back this guy. But this is a pretty clear Red Tooth Vanguard here. Starting with green cards, I can really go in any direction from here. There's plenty of auras and enchantments in every color combination thanks to roll cards, and so I'm not really worried about what I pair my green with. But at this point, it would be very hard to imagine not playing a green-based deck. Now here we have a very interesting pick right off the bat a little bit. There is a Root Rider Fawn as the only green card in the pack. One of the reasons why I didn't care about passing the rare 2-drop that can accelerate my mana is because Root Rider Fawn is in the format, and this card is going to fill that role a lot of the time as a 2-drop that taps to add green. So this is a really nice pickup if I want to. It's another 2-drop and things like that. But I think I'm going to take Sir Armont the Redeemer, because it's just a much higher upside card, and it plays well with all of the cards that I want to be playing with anyway. And it's just going to let me stake my claim to green-white, which would be a good home for all of my cards. So it makes an aura token attached to another creature, and all my enchanted creatures get +1/+1. So it just is a really nice fit. A card like Charmed Clothier would also be good in this sort of deck. And so I think Sir Armont is enough better than Root Rider Fawn that it is worth taking here. And now we have another interesting pick. There is the Princess Takes Flight, which is really a synergy piece with the bargain mechanic. So let's look at a bargain card, for example. Johann Stopgap is a really good blue card, and it has the bargain mechanic, which means that you can sacrifice an artifact, enchantment, or token as you cast the spell and then get the bargain benefit. So in this case, it'll cost 2 less to cast. The Princess Takes Flight is really good with that because the first mode exiles a creature, then it buffs your guy, and if on that same turn that you're using the second mode, you can sacrifice the Princess Takes Flight, the third mode of returning their exiled creature will never trigger, which is just really worth noting. I don't currently have any bargain cards, but it is an enchantment for synergy purposes on that front. I think it's between that and the Hollow Scavenger, and I think the Hollow Scavenger is actually a little bit... I'm going to take the Hollow Scavenger. I think it's a little bit more consistent, and I do want some artifacts to go with this Elvish Archivist. Now here there's a Utopia Sprawl, which is actually a great fit in my deck. It can enchant a forest, and I'm heavy green. It can tap for a mana of any color. That forest can. It's an aura, so it plays with all of these cards that care about auras and enchantments and stuff like that. And so this is a really good fit for me. It also ramps me up so I can play like my cards earlier. So really good fit. Sir Armont could be a splash, could just be a card I don't play. That's the other reason why I took the Hollow Scavenger, because it's just a card that I can fit into any green deck and have it be solid, which I like. There is some black cards. This makes an enchantment, creates a Wicked Roll token. Tabby can play well with enchantments going to the graveyard. But for now, we're just going to take Utopia Sprawl. Looks like we're seeing a bit of red, which we'll keep in mind. And here, this card cares about having enchantments in play. This cares about casting spells during my opponent's turn, which I do not have any of that. Feed the Cauldron is worse than it looks because it destroys a creature with mana value 3 or less, which means you're never getting a mana advantage. You're never going to be able to kill like a 4-drop with this, which is a little bit of a downside, but making a food is nice. And Edgewall Pack is just a nice 4-drop, just makes a 3/3 into 1/1. Living Lectern can be an artifact and an enchantment in some ways for the Archivist purposes. Slumbering Keep Guard can reward me for enchantments coming into play. I think I'm going to take the Slumbering Keep Guard as just a way to like kind of stay in this green-white shell, but I'm not really like caring about that too much. And now we get a Curse of the Werefox, which is perfect. It is an aura and a removal spell all into one, and it's green. I think Redtooth Genealogist would also be fantastic in this deck. Comes into play, makes another aura, which is awesome. Curiosity is really cool in this format because it actually has an infinite combo. There is a red card that taps to deal a damage to your opponent, and if you put a Curiosity on it, you can combo your opponent out. So if you are playing blue-red, Curiosity goes way up in value because having an infinite combo in your deck is pretty dang good in limited. But here we're going to take Curse of the Werefox. And the red card it combos with is a common, so yeah. Okay, so this is the Wheel Pack, and we wield a Hollow Scavenger, which is a really good sign for us. There's also a Sweet Tooth Witch, Red Cap Thief, so those are some pretty solid cards as well. Scarecrow Guide, not a card I'm super interested in, but taking a Hollow Scavenger is nice. We'll have a few artifacts to go with this Archivist, and mostly just focus on the aura aspect of things. We currently have 1, 2, 3 kind of cards to make auras, so we'll try to focus on prioritizing those to really maximize our synergies. Greater Auramancy gives other enchantments Shroud. Not really, and enchanted creatures have Shroud. Not something I'm super interested in here. I might take the, I don't really have cards with mana value 5 or greater. I think I'll take Rowan's Grim Search just in case I do want to end up in a black deck. Though I don't really care about that card that much. Virtue of Strength, not a card I'm interested in. Target creature or land from the graveyard to the hand. And it's an enchantment to play in the late game. I guess I could take it. I don't think I want this card. But I could just play the 1-mana version of this and then use it as a late game way to draw a card with the Archivist. Here I am going to take the Dream Spoilers. It's not another card. I think Leaping Ambush is not a card I really care about. Into the Fey Court is just a slow card draw, and it doesn't really help stabilize me, and I'm not really looking to go that direction. But Dream Spoilers could be good. And now we get another instant spell in Rowan's Grim Search to maybe go with that. We could definitely play a green-black deck at this point. Okay, so moving on to Pack 2, what we really want is cards that come in with roll counters, because roll counters play great with the Archivist, the Vanguard, and the Tanglespan Lookout, which we've kind of built our deck around. And we already have a couple of cards that work with that as well. It looks like red was not open, so we're not going to try to move into red Pack 2, even though this is a pretty solid rare. We're not going to try to do that, even though this is a pretty good common in red. We're just going to try to stick to our guns. This card's pretty nice as just a 3-mana 2/2 in white that draws a card when it enters. Redtooth Vanguard is another card that I'd be happy to take. I might just take this as a card that's more synergistic with my deck, especially because white did not seem particularly open when you weren't seeing like top white cards, and we got quite a few late black cards, and black can be a good home for this sort of strategy. You get some auras, you get some food tokens to grow this guy as well. So I think we're going to take the Redtooth Vanguard as more of a grindy value engine than the Wood-Tooth Acolyte, which is more of a one-use only value engine. There's also a Fell Horseman. Hopefully we'll get some cards like that. Now there is another Red-Tooth Vanguard. There's also a Knight of Doves. When enchantments go to the graveyard, we create birds. This is a cool enchantment payoff as well. But I think it's still just worth sticking to my green guns, as they say. This is, by the way, the card that combos with Curiosity. You put Curiosity on this. When you tap your Catapult, it deals the damage to the opponent. Then the Curiosity will draw you a... No, wait. Is that a combo? No, it's not a combo. For some reason, I got the combo confused. No, that's a different thing. It's really good with Unruly Catapult, though. It's really good with Unruly Catapult. It's not an infinite combo, though. My bad. I was getting the Niv Mizzet combo confused. But this is a really good combo with Curiosity if you're in blue-red. Anyway, we're going to take Red-Tooth Vanguard here over the white card. That might be slightly better for our deck, but we could still just not end up in white. My bad on the combos. Okay. This card is quite strong if you're in red-white. It's not a card I can take, but it is quite strong. This card does make an enchantment, but a 4-mana 3/3 is not what I super care about. I do think Hollow Scavenger could be a good fit still. The Toadstool Admirer is interesting. We're seeing a little bit of blue with the Stopgap and the Picklock Prankster. I think we'll just keep taking green cards over like a white card here. I love Johann, but we can't really use him. There's a Spreading Seas we can't use. There is an Obira, Dreaming Duelist, which is quite good, but we can't use them. There is a Bestial Bloodline, which could actually be a decent card. We play it as an aura. We can sacrifice it to things that sacrifice auras. We can return it from the graveyard to the hand. There's also a Rhymefur Reindeer, which just taps our opponent's stuff. I'm going to try... Bestial Bloodline has a good chance of wheeling. So I'm going to try to take the Rhymefur Reindeer because it can play really well in a green-white deck. And then we'll try to wheel Bestial Bloodline. I'm not going to be too disappointed if I don't have a Bestial Bloodline. But I'm pretty happy to get a Rhymefur Reindeer. Decent 3-drop, but I already have plenty of 3-drops. This card if I wanted to splash. Tough spot here. This is an aura, but I can't really use it because it's not my color. Dream Spoilers. I have some instance, but it's not really the focus. And I'd rather still be green-white than black-green. Protective Parents could be okay, because it does make an enchantment when it dies. I could also just take Titanic Growth or the green card. I'll try taking Protective Parents. Griffin Airy. If I gain 3 more life, create a 2/2. I don't think I'm going to be gaining that much life, so I think we will lean towards just taking this Hamlet Glutton. There's also a Ruby, which is really good, but we're kind of leaning towards this like enchantment theme. And Hamlet Glutton can sacrifice your random enchantments to be like a massive top-end card. This is what our curve looks like. We have pretty good 2s. And then a lot of 3s right now. There's also a decent 2-drop here, but we're going to take the Glutton. Try it out. Commune with Nature, not something I'm super interested in. Raid Bombardment, not interested. Plunge into the water. We're seeing some blue cards here, which makes sense because blue wasn't open. I think we'll just take Scream Puff. Scream Puff is a cool combo with the Archivist. If we do end up in black, just every time it deals combat damage, we create a food. Break the Spell. Probably not interested in this in the main deck. It's a pretty good sideboard card, I think, though. I'm just going to take Ariet's Whisper over Rat Out, probably. So we wield Fell Horseman. That's a really good sign for black being open. And I wouldn't mind just playing green-black. There's plenty of like enchantment-type stuff that we can get. And we can just get enchantment stuff in green as well. I don't love the Armory Mice that much, or the Break the Spell. Misleading Motes is okay. But nice to get a Fell Horseman, just a nice piece of value. Yeah. Ground Seal. Yeah, that's going to punish me because I actually do have ways to target stuff in my graveyard, so I don't want that. I'll just take Plunge into Winter, maybe, over Leaping Ambush. Sugar Rush, we're not going to get into blue, even if it's kind of open here. Johans is pretty good, and the Prankster is pretty good as well, but we're just going to see what we shall see. We know we're playing green, and we are choosing between a follow-up color. We're just going to keep passing blue cards, maybe send the people next to us in blue. And we're going to either be black, which seemed open, or white, which has less open, but has more synergies with our colors, maybe. Okay, that's pretty late. Dream Spoilers. Maybe this card's not that great, but it feels like you could maybe get some good value out of that. Blue was open from that side. Okay, pack 3. Let's first check for green cards. There's only one, and we're not really interested in that. Now we'll check for white cards and black cards. The black cards of interest are Fell Horseman. We already wheeled one of those. The white cards of interest are Grasp of Fate. The Shrouded Shepherd is quite nice, especially if you're white-black. This card's interesting. Nice bit of value, and if you bargain it, you can even just get, like, decent tempo as well. Charmed Clothier. There's no green card, which is a little bit disappointing. I think we'll either take this. I don't think we'll be heavy white, even if we are going into white, so I think we'll just take back for seconds, and then try to wheel Fell Horseman again. It'll just be a nice grindy deck. Filled with value. We also didn't wheel the Bestial Bloodline, which is interesting. So maybe we do have to take it here, because I do think we want one. There's also a High Fae Negotiator, which is a wild card. Very wild. Let's see how many enchantments we actually have. I assume we're going to be playing black at this point. And if we're playing black, then we probably are going to have... We have those 3 to make artifacts. 1 enchantment, 2 enchantments, 3 enchantments, 4 enchantments. Yeah, we need more enchantments. I still think we take this card over the Bestial Bloodline. This card is crazy good if you just enable it. And we can sacrifice food tokens to any bargain cards, and we have plenty of food tokens. Okay, now there is another Tanglespan Lookout. I still think I'll take it. There's also... Actually, no, there's Yenna. Yenna's really good. You can, like, copy your enchantments. Create a token that's a copy of it, except it isn't legendary. The token is an Aura, untap Yenna. So we can copy our legendaries. Actually, I think I'm just going to take Tanglespan and stick to this black deck. My white cards are not very good. And I think I'd rather just have the power that comes with just having like High Fae Negotiator, whatever other black cards I get this pack. Even though Yenna's quite good. Now there's another Utopia Sprawl. Spectre of Mortality is fantastic, though, I think. I really want to try this card at the very least. When you play this card, you can exile a bunch of creatures from graveyards and then essentially wrath the board to the size you want if there's enough creatures in the graveyard, which seems really good to me. There's also a Red Tooth Genealogist, which would be fantastic for me. A Utopia Sprawl, which would be great for me. Basically, like, any auras are great, and these both make auras. But I really want to take this card. Black, I think the decision to stay in black is good. A lot of the times, like, Tanglespan Lookout doesn't need that much help. If you draw 1 card off of it, you're in pretty good shape. And we have some pretty good setup for it. Now, I think I'm going to make the pick of Red Tooth Genealogist over Howling Galefang. Howling Galefang is good if you have some adventure creatures. A 4/4 Vigilance for 4 isn't bad ever. But we just want more auras to go with our Tanglespan guys. And, yeah, that's pretty much the decision there. Season of Growth. Moment of Valor. Prophetic Prism. I wouldn't mind Return Triumphant. It's a great combo with our Tanglespan Lookouts. Actually, we're not playing that color. Whoops. I wish we could splash. Maybe we can splash. I'm going to take a Prism, and then we'll consider splashing with our Utopia Sprawl and the Prism. Whoa, blue-green. Nice. There is a Return Triumphant. Once again, still a combo. I think Spectre of Mortality and the High Fae Negotiator are both good enough that it's worth just staying in our black deck. But if we wanted to splash a couple white cards, we maybe could consider it. Okay, Ginger Brute, Verdant. I don't really ever want Ginger Brute in these sorts of mid-rangey decks. I might want to try the Toadstool guy, though. He seems cute with maybe some auras to put on him. Fell Horseman did wheel, so that was good. And we did wheel the Bestial Bloodline. This is all coming up, Nikolai. Once again, sorry for talking about an infinite combo with Curiosity that doesn't exist, but there is a cool combo that exists with Curiosity if you have some instants and sorceries. Not quite infinite. Ooh, we got another Bestial Bloodline. I might actually play both of these. I was looking for some auras and we got them. We don't really cast spells during our opponent's turn, so we're not really interested in this. How many instants do we have? 0. Well, that about settles it. We already have good 4-drops anyway. Scream Puff, we can try. We have these guys as well. And Hamlet Glutton. Beanstalk Worm, might as well try it. Leyline of Sanctity. Nice. Well, this deck is looking cool. Also, I will say I'm only going to be playing 5 games with any individual deck to see if we can get a winning record, because playing an even number like 4, it's less satisfying to have a 2-2 record. But 5 games seems like it'll give me a good sense for how the cards play out. And in the early access event, I really want to maximize how many drafts I can get in and how many different decks I can try. So that's just a bit of a forewarning. I don't think we're going to splash white, even though we have this Prism that we could play, and we have like this guy, which could be pretty solid. So we're not going to play the Prism at all as a result of that. We could consider playing 1 or 2 of these. We could consider playing the Sugar Rush, and then let's just see how we... And we guess we could consider playing that, but I don't want to. So this is 46 cards. We have plenty of early creatures. I don't think we need Sugar Rush because we're more of a mid-rangey deck, and mid-rangey decks tend to just prefer using removal spells or things like that versus combat tricks that let your creatures die. The Hollowtooth Scavengers are good for our bargain cards. I don't think we need Rowan's Grim Search, at least not both. Back for Seconds seems pretty good. Especially because we can bargain a food. Toadstool Admirer could get cut. I kind of want to try the Bestial Bloodlines to see how good they are. We don't necessarily need the Prism. Curse the Werefox is great. Back for Second seems good. Ariet's Whisper is a card I want to try. And then Virtue of Strength is mostly just playing it for the adventure part, and then the late game Aura. But I don't think we need the late game Aura. And we already have the 2 Fell Horsemen, so I'm just going to cut the Virtue of Strength. The other thing is you can sacrifice it to bargain stuff out, which is neat. I think we'll cut Beanstalk Worm as well, which just leaves us... How many creatures do we have? We want to have a lot of creatures to go with our 5-drop here. So we do have a decent number of creatures. We want to exile mostly our opponents. Oh, it has to be from our graveyard. So it will be a downside with our Fell Horsemen, but that's okay. Utopia Sprawl is a bit of ramp, but I think we have enough value that we don't need to like cut a land for it. We're mostly green. So we can make a few cuts. Rowan's Grim Search is probably not necessary. So we're going to keep it like that. Screen Puff could also go. I think I'm going to cut a swamp, add a forest, run this Prophetic Prism, and then cut the Toadstool Admirer. Because I have plenty of ways to spend my mana, I think. And then we'll try it like this. And we have plenty of mana sinks with the Bestial Bloodlines. We got some cool rares. I think we read the signals pretty well. We have a decent number of auras. Let's see how we do, and I'll see you folks in the games. Before I get to the games, I want to give a brief shout out to the NicolaiBolas Patreon. If you've been enjoying my videos and would like to support my content directly, then Patreon is the best way to do so. Patreon.com/NicolaiBolas. Patreon is a way for viewers to give back to the content that they enjoy. So if my videos have made your life a little bit brighter, maybe if you want some extra booster packs or gems on Magic Arena and you just enjoy the channel, then Patreon is a way for you to give back and help me continue making high quality content on a consistent basis. You'll also gain access to things like my Wilds of Eldraine tier list, where I grade every single card in the set on an A through F scale, and other things like drafts with me, or even being featured in these credits, because I do want to give a special shout out to the patrons who support at the credits level. It really does mean a lot and helps the channel grow and thrive. Thank you so much to all of my patrons, and without further ado, let's get to the games. Welcome to round number 1. We have an excellent hand here on the draw. We don't have a 2-drop right now, but we have turn 1 Hollow Scavenger to make a food, and then turn 2 Hollow Scavenger to make a food. And then turn 3 we can play a Hollow Scavenger. Turn 4 we'll see what we shall see. Hopefully we draw a 2-drop here. Affecting the board would be nice. We're playing against red-black. They play a 2-2. Nice. Oh, perfecto. Just what we wanted. A 2-2 we can trade off and get back later. That's the dream. 1 toughness is a bit vulnerable in this set. There are cards to give -1/-1 and things of that nature. But this card's worth it because it has good synergy with the rest of our cards. Okay, they get to kill our guy. Here, no worries whatsoever. Ideally, we would trade Red Tooth Vanguard for this guy. So instead of playing the Hollow Scavenger, I think... We'll make another food, and then we'll play another Red Tooth Vanguard. Because we want to get these things into the graveyard. If they have -1/-1, they kill this thing, but if we can trade these off, we'll be pretty happy. We've only taken a little damage. We have food as a buffer. We have this as a life total buffer eventually. Okay, so we don't really want to trade now because that'll grow this guy. And the big vulnerability of our deck is we don't really have removal. If I trade here, then they put a Wicked token. I can still trade a 4/3 for a 3/2. I'm just going to take 2 here. Okay, that's good. So we'll play this guy. We would love to have drawn a land there to slowly work our way up towards this guy. But this is fine. We'll see where they put the Wicked Roll token. If they put it on the Rat, then we're in pretty good shape. We pretty much just don't want the Voracious Vermin to grow out of control. So if they like attack all here, we'll be pretty happy just doing like a little mini trade with the Voracious Vermin. They also missed a land, maybe? We also are using the pet from the set. It's kind of cool. And we're using the Will avatar to see what it looks like. The Will sleeves. Pretty neat. I like showing off the new stuff in case anybody wants to consider using it themselves. Unfortunately, they don't have the basic lands in here yet. Would love to get a look at those. Curse of the Werefox is one of our few removal spells. Lord's Gitter's Blessing. Okay. So the way this works is it creates a Wicked. And then if you have an enchanted creature, they lose a life and they draw a card. They're attacking with both of their enchanted creatures, which makes me want to trade with both. This will grow into a 4/3, but I have a 3/2 that can block them. And, okay. They do get to get their guy back. And it'll be a bit bigger, too. That's unfortunate. Yeah. Missing my land drops really made this game unwinnable, I think, to some degree. They're going to hit me for 5, but... yeah, that's unfortunate. I think we're out of it. That card was really good in that situation. And we are dead. Because as soon as this thing is gone, we will say good game, and we will go next. I don't think there was really that much we could have done differently there. They had a really powerful combination of cards. It is showing me the weakness of our deck being lack of removal. But other than the 1 3-mana removal spell that we didn't take, it wasn't like we avoided taking removal spells. It was more so just a case of, okay, we weren't seeing the black removal spells, I guess, because those cards get taken very highly by everybody. And so the one that we could have taken was destroy something with converted mana cost 3 or less, which would have happened to be good that game, but I don't think in a vacuum is that good because you can generally just trade off. But other things we learned is that the creature that grows is really scary. Like the 2/1 was pretty annoying for our deck. Also, we kind of need to hit our lands, so I don't mind running the Prophetic Prism and the Utopia Sprawl as kind of extra lands of sorts. And another good hand. Easy keep. This hand we have the Prophetic Prism that we can sacrifice to get our Hamlet Glutton down. That should be good. We're going to start with a 3/1 though. Just get a creature in that can start hitting them, pressuring them. Our deck ideally wants to be able to get to these late game situations. Okay, the Ball Guest. Play this. Do I want to trade? I think so. The reason I want to trade, even though red-white is typically more aggressive than green-black, and my deck does well in the late game, my Hamlet Glutton is actually going to be like really good if they are forced to like start blocking it. And it'll really just swing the race in my favor, and I know I can play it. So that's why I'm making this attack. Also, 3 damage for 2 damage is a meaningful thing. They don't have a way to trigger Celebration, or at least they don't want to trigger it yet. If they only have like one way to trigger it. Okay. Now we will not attack because, yeah, we just would rather just trade off with this thing, I guess, and then get our Glutton into play. Artifact, enchantment, or token, so we'll definitely sack this. Making this a young hero isn't the best. Also, our situation here is not ideal. I'm just going to trade with this guy. This is slightly more damage, but we don't really want to make something a young hero at this point. Twin Veil Guide, sure. Cast with Bargain. Gain some life. Now we have him on a 3-turn clock from this guy. We did draw a relevant spell. Okay, Bespoke Battle Garb. Grand Ball Guest. It's pretty good with the Twin Veil Guide. This was a card that I think is only good in certain situations, but it's certainly good here, so we're getting to see it in action. I mean, with the lifelink guy, it's pretty dang good. It is unfortunate that we've drawn so many lands and so few spells. I think we have good ways of spending our mana. And we have great mana sinks. Like, if we draw any card that gets an aura, we get back our 3/1. This card's pretty dang annoying, though. Flying and lifelink, and we don't really have removal spells to deal with it. We have our own flyer, the 3/5. Also, we have the card that could, like, give -X to stuff. I hope we draw, like, some sort of aura maker. I wonder what they're thinking about. Another land. It's kind of good in a way because now that we have all the mana we need to cast our spells. So drawing that land was actually really helpful if you think about it. And I think we will just pass. I don't think we can afford to attack them here. We're just going to be on a 4-turn clock here. We have our food token that we can sacrifice to gain life. We don't want to sack it just yet because we want to leave the option of bargaining in it available for as long as possible. In a normal situation where we had like 2 spells in hand here, I wouldn't feel that worried because we could sometimes potentially like race the Twin Veil Guide or do something like that. Flying is just a weakness of our deck. We don't really have any reach, so maybe I should have prioritized that. That's something to learn as well. But interesting nonetheless. Can this only sacrifice at sorcery speed? Only once each turn. Okay, I knew there was some sort of restriction on it. You can't just like fireball them out with your foods, which is a bit unfortunate, but such is life. Sometimes you don't get to fireball them out with your foods. But yeah, this was a game where if I had curved out into the Hamlet Glutton, it would have been a lot better because then I'd have them on the back foot. But the Twin Veil Guide is kind of doing some good work here as a big flyer. So they don't make a play. Okay, we're going to have to go for this, I think. So red has, like, deal X's or whatever. I just have to kill their flyer. Auto pay. That's beautiful. We're back in business. We're back in business. Pretty much our best draw. We would have taken more of these if we'd seen more of them. I guess we did see like one more of them, but we took something good over it. If they block, we'll sack the food. That was really good. We're getting to see the power of the Red Tooth Vanguard. Nice little 2-for-1 for us. We still have this food sitting around. We can definitely sacrifice this monster roll if we need to. But now we're on the front foot again, I think. They skipped their turn, so maybe they don't have anything in their hand, or they have a combat trick that's very niche. They'll probably equip something. So they trigger Celebration with 1 card and enable any splashes. That's pretty good. So here this Spoke Battle Garb is equipping, but they would have had the mana anyway, it looks like. Okay, so this can bring back my Glutton, and I can use the Glutton. So do I want to attack? If I attack, they probably won't block it. They'll just like save their attacker. If I attack them for 10, how would that go? If they just don't block. If I attack for 7, they're not going to block. There's no way. Maybe they block, double block. I think I'll attack, because this is going to end the best for me if they do block. And I don't even really need to worry about bargaining it, because I have enough mana to just hard cast it. Like, I can't hard cast it this turn, but I can play my land, cast this guy as a blocker, and then end my turn. And I don't, because I think this food gaining me 3 life could be really relevant here. Okay, they get to deal a damage, sure. Ash Party Crasher, okay. So they have Celebration now. Also, I'm going to gain 3 life from this. So I might just sack this to get it at +2/+2. Because then I can eat one of their guys if they attack both. They're spending the mana to equip it when they don't need to. They only have 2 cards in hand. So I think this will be worth it. Big trade. Fell Horseman back into my library on the bottom. It's so you can't infinitely loop Fell Horseman, which would be a bit too strong. Okay, and now I'm just going to get to jam my big guy, go back up to 12 life. Huge. This was a good draw as well. I don't think I have a reason to hold the land. I can't think of a great reason to play it yet, though, either. Hopefully I draw one of my cards that draws me cards when I play auras. That'd be pretty good here. Okay. I'm going to hold this in case I draw one of my payoffs. Auto pay. That's perfect. I had forgotten about that card, not going to lie. That card's really good, though, because now I can attack them and then play a blocker that can trade with their Besotted Knight. Honestly, we're really getting to see the power of our deck here. We had a bit of a weak draw in terms of spells. We've drawn 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 spells, but they've been really good. We've gotten back this this Red Tooth Vanguard a couple times. This Scavenger traded with something that was pretty sizable. Curse of the Werefox was the best card in our deck there that we could have drawn, probably. And now we have them on the back foot. They have some cards in hand, but it's probably just lands at this point. I can't imagine what they could have that they wouldn't have cast. I mean, they might probably have something they can cast. Okay, 2 spells and another land for us. So we will go to combat. We're not going to get too greedy. There are cards that could punish us, such as just like destroy an attacker or things like that. That being said, I think we can comfortably attack with both of these guys. But if we attacked with this guy and they did have a way to kill this guy as an attacker, then we'd be in bad shape. Here we force them to trade. And keeping the board clear is good for us. Okay. Like attacking with this guy, we could have technically trampled over for 4, dealt another 3, dealt another 2 to them. But if they have to chump block here, then we're just going to win. And here we are seeing the downside of the bespoke battle garb. Oh, so they exile it. Well done, well done. They scry to the bottom. And that's why we didn't attack with him, because if they just got to eat that guy for free, then we're in bad shape. We are going to play our land. But we are seeing the downside, where if they had another creature here, it might be better for them. Like maybe they'd be able to double block, they'd have just more options. It's doing okay as like making this a 5/3, so it can maybe combine to trade with that, but it didn't end up being able to do enough. And despite the fact that we drew a lot of lands, our deck was able to grind through our opponent. Getting the back the Red Tooth Vanguard was actually super helpful. That card performed great. Honestly, I wouldn't have minded the aura that gave +2/+2 that game. We still haven't drawn any of our aura guys, the guys that like benefit us when auras come into play. I think those guys are going to be really good in our deck. We've kind of built around them somewhat heavily to optimize for those cards. I'm glad we got the win there. Feels good that we're not going to potentially go 0-3. And remember, we're going to be playing 5 rounds, so going 1-1 to start off. Bouncing back. Is this Arne Huschenbett? I see that he is also a man of culture, choosing the Will avatar. And we have a great opener here. This is fantastic. 2 Red Tooth Vanguards in the early game. It's going to make sure that we can make some trades and have a good late game. Okay, Vanguard. I'm going to be interested to see how Screen Puff does. It seems pretty good. Death Touch is a really good mechanic. Okay, blue-black. We shall attack. Okay, they're going to kill it with the Candy Grapple. And we're just going to have another one. Sure. It's pretty good for him. Just going to keep playing our guys. We're going to adventure this to get back our Vanguard. Not the best value out of a Fell Horseman, but lets us keep the pressure up with our 3/1 Tramplers. Blue-black seems like it might struggle to deal with sizable Tramplers because it just doesn't have the biggest creatures on its own. Next turn we can play Screen Puff. I'm a little bit worried about him having like a -4, -0 type thing. Okay. He should probably attack with Mocking Sprite if he's not going to block. Okay, it looks like he is planning on blocking then. Play the Screen Puff. Next turn we can play Prism and Fell Horseman. Once we find an enchantment, we'll get back both of our guys, which will be incredible. Okay, he's drawn his 3 cards. That's pretty good. Nice little way to refuel. I have a lot of power in play, though. The reason this card might not be as good is because if he can't stabilize with the 3 cards, then he could be in bad shape. Candy Grapple. Nice. I don't really want to give him a Scry, too, when he has the mana up already. And I will sacrifice the Prophetic Prism. Drain them for 3. It's a bit unfortunate that I haven't drawn an Aura yet, because when I do, I'll get back both my Red Tooth Vanguards. Oh, he might be scrying. So he has 4 cards. Oh, that's pretty good. They're going to get back Threadbind Click. And now they have their mana to cast it. Pretty good. Oh, that's very good. I can play this, put it on this guy. They use Threadbind Click to kill it for 4 mana. And then I just kill them with my Tramplers that I'm going to get back. So I'm going to walk right into this. It opens me up for some good possibilities, though. So he has to kill my 5/7, I think. But now if I draw my second Fell Horseman, I win. If I draw my other recursion spell, I win. As long as I keep my food around. My Red Tooth Vanguard with Trample is going to be pretty dang good. Yep. But they can't cast the Threadbind Click part of it. Oh, they can. But they don't. They didn't want to play this. Blue-black isn't going to have any life gain. So I can wait until I have triple black to do this all in one turn, and maybe when they're tapped out. I attack with both. What are they going to do? I'm just going to attack with both and see what happens. He must have something. My life total is high enough that I can probably wait until I get another swamp to go for the back for seconds play in one turn. They get to scry too. Oh. Actually, I think I will go for the High Fae Negotiator thing here. I'm just going to cast it. High Fae, Red Tooth. Then try to play another 3/1 Trampler. If he does have a discard spell, he probably won't be also able to affect the board. And if he does make me discard this, I can bring back this and make one of my guys a 5/3 and just have a bunch of trampling. Sure. So he had a kill spell. Okay, he loses 1 life. He goes to 1. Does he have the answer to this via a discard spell and a way to block this guy? Yep. Boom, got the win. He could have had a counterspell, but the counterspell that is most common is counter unless they pay 2, and then 1 more for each fairy, and so I had the mana to pay for it. Nice! If that is our Nehushin bet, then we have just beaten a Mythic champion. Let's go. Huge. Big time win. The recursion felt very good that game. Once again, the Red Tooth guy doing good work. We still haven't drawn a single card from our auras coming into play. But that's how it goes sometimes. Nice 2-1. We've guaranteed that we're going to finish the full 5 games, which is pretty nice as well. Because even if I lost my next 2, I'd still have the 5. And I think 5 is good. Because the 3 and 2 is like pretty good. 4 and 1 is like really nice. Especially considering the way the first game went where our opponent was like combo killing us. That was pretty good. I kind of want to try doing that to someone else now. But yes. Here we go. Yes! The Archivist. Excellent start. A lot of our cards synergize with this. We have food token making. We are on the draw, which is a little unfortunate. So we'll make them discard and we'll draw a card. That's only a 1-powered creature. I'm not really worried about that. My deck does seem to like giving me like plenty of forest, which I do appreciate. Because you can't cast your green spells if you don't have forests, which is really something you just learn as a Magic player. My opponent is playing mono blue. Oh, that's perfect. So I could just play this as a creature, but I'm going to create the food token, make my guy a 2/3. No attacks. If only I'd drawn this... maybe I wouldn't have been able to do anything differently. They're playing blue-red. Okay. Making them discard 2 cards is probably going to be good. Don't do it. No! No! You monster. I might not have time to sacrifice this food later. Toughness 3 or less. It's a little unfortunate. I'm going to probably play this next turn. And I won't have anything to bargain with. This thing, if my creatures do die, I can like wipe their whole board eventually. So I'm going to sack the food to gain some life now, because I'm not sure when I'm going to have mana available. Beautiful. Play this guy. I would like to get the Wicked Roll attached to something. That's pretty dang good. Back for seconds, eh? Right, this has Vigilance. That's annoying. But we have the Wicked Roll. If they have a counterspell, that would be pretty annoying. And we will attack. We're at least competitive in the race at the moment. And we can always just play this guy X equals -1, kill their Mocking Sprite. Oh, devastation. They don't even... They do have a thing. They have cut in. That's really bad. That's bad. That's bad. That's really, really bad. How are we going to manage this? We're going to draw with Prophetic Prism. Then we're going to play Tanglespan Lookout. Dig for stuff to do. We really want to fill our graveyard so we can play this guy. And we can't afford to attack right now. Okay. We have the Prism, which can let us cast Spectre of Mortality. If both of our creatures die, we're actually pretty happy with that. They lose a life. Nice. Okay, we're back in this, I think. We don't get to kill this thing, but we get to exile 3 creatures. Kill everything else. Actually, we get to exile 2 creatures because we do want to keep one of them. And I think we want to keep the Hollowhenge Scavenger so we can bring it back and make a food. Because we have the Tangle Span lookout for the value play. One, two. Pretty good. Pretty good. Mm-hmm. Yep. I'm just going to assume they can't kill me here. We'll just be mana efficient. We have our food at the ready. Sure. First things first, attack them. We'll sack it now. They hit the same. This one can actually block this guy, which is potentially relevant. But having the Spectre in my hand will make their blocks more difficult. Sure. Nice. We just keep getting back our food, guys. We'll play this. Well, actually, we'll sack a food. Then we'll play this guy. Okay. It's not great. They didn't attack with their Vigilance guy. That's the sign of someone who's running scared. That actually makes a bit of a difference here. If I attack with all three, they're going to at least take 2 damage. And they have to block both of the Hollow Scavengers. Which means I can sack the food. And then hope they don't have a counter spell. Play land first. Exile 1. Gosh, this has been so devastating. The Spectre of Mortality is incredible. Oh my gosh, what a game. They can sack this to get back their fairy. My gosh. We were right to save the Spectre. The Hollow Scavengers have just been clutch. Oh no. Oh no. Oh, they're just bouncing it. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Holy heck. Yes! Oh my gosh, what a win! Good job, deck. Good job. Spectre of Mortality was so clutch. And honestly, the even more clutch card was this Hollow Scavenger. That was amazing. Great work. Great work. Okay, we got 1 match left. We've already guaranteed a winning record, which I love for my first draft of the format. Our deck is sweet. We've learned a lot. We've played against some cool decks. Lots of variety so far. And let's see if we can get a nice little 4-1. We still have yet to draw a card with any of our aura guys, which may just be because it's hard to do that, or just because we don't have the density of auras you really need. Maybe those cards are more like green-white cards than any deck cards. But we have gotten back our Red Tooth guys, which has been pretty good. But anyway, this has been really fun. Huge shout out to Wizards once again for giving me a free preview account in this early access event so I can get this recorded for you early. I'm really excited about it. The Mana Leak. We must be victorious. They are a hooded figure. Oh, nice little hand on the play. 2 Red Tooth Vanguards. They always seem to come in multiples, the Red Tooths. Perfect. We hit the land, so we don't have to worry about whether or not what to do. We can just go Tangle Span next turn. Oh, we're living the dream! We're living the dream! Yep. Attack. Oh, Byra. Oh, this is such a good trade for us. My gosh, because Red Tooth is coming back later. Red Tooth is coming back later. Tangle Span. Next turn we can play Prism into Red Tooth. Ah, another Crystal Grotto. We have defeated a Crystal Grotto blue-black player before. So we're going to start with this. Another Fell Horseman. We just need some auras now. Cast a spell for free! Go, Tangle Span, look out. Okay. This isn't exactly where you want Fell Horsemen's, but it's a good enough card that I'm happy to just have a couple in my hand. They're attacking, which means they are not planning on blocking. That's just a general thing you figure out in these situations. Oh, that's what I wanted. Oh my gosh. We play our land first. Play the Genealogist. Aura onto Red Tooth. Pay 2 for the other one to come back. I should have stacked them opposite order, but you know what it is. Send. This means if they do want to trade, then they take 2. So this is why we're attacking like this. And we have a 2/3 that can block that guy anyway. Baby! Royal Genealogist, just when you want him. Perfect for this deck. We finally drew a card off a Tangle Span. Look out. Now I kind of want Royal Genealogist to die so I can get it back with Fell Horseman and get another card draw out of it. They're holding back blocking. Barrow Naughty. Okay. We will attack here. I kind of want to attack with this, but if they just block it with this Barrow Naughty, they just gain a life for free. And we don't want to give them a free life point. And they're missing lands. See, that was an opportunity for them to double block. They might have a counterspell. This is actually going to work out for us, though. Because if they counter this spell with their counterspell, yeah, this is exactly what I was hoping would happen. Because now the Fell Horseman actually does go to our graveyard, so we can just get the Fell Horseman back. Pretty good. Spell stutter. Now they have to decide what they want to kill. Probably Tangle Span lookout, I'd imagine. This thing can be a little bit annoying. 3 mana for +1/+0 is not the end of the world. Wow, they're attacking. I'm a little bit surprised about that. Play the land. Go to combat. Send in the goons. I do want to get back this guy, but for now, we have 7 mana. We definitely want to make a food with this so we can help race. What adds the most power to the board? We have 7 mana. We could make a food, play this, play that. Yeah, we're going to do that. Make a food. Return this guy. And then we're going to make the mana efficient play of playing our 3/3. Because another card that can attack past Barrow Naughty is nice. And now we have a food token. The foods are so relevant for these racing situations. Hollow Scavenger has been great. I'm so happy I have 3 of them. Like, we won that last round purely because Hollow Scavenger was just clutch in the racing situation. Like, it could attack past a 2/4 and also gain me 3 life when I needed it. Now when I draw an aura, I'm in really good shape. Wow. Still attacking. I'm shocked they're attacking with this guy, because he can block the 2/3 for free, basically. Okay. Johan. So I can just play these 2. I'd rather have the Scavenger in play because it's lethal on its own. So we're going to play this one first. Then I'm actually going to play 2 more cards from my hand rather than the Fell Horseman. I'll give him the option of countering this one. Maybe I should have played Red Tooth Vanguard, because then if they want to counter it, they know they have to counter the Red Tooth. Now if I draw a food, that this thing gets a bunch of power. Hollow Henge Scavenger's pretty good here. The Barrow Naughty gained them like 2 life, but they've taken 4 damage from the Red Tooth Genealogist that it would have held back. So they would be at 7 instead of 5 if they just held back Barrow Naughty. But maybe they were afraid of combat tricks or something. Because if I do put an aura on the Genealogist, then it's better to attack. But after the first time I didn't do that, maybe they should have held it back. Yeah. And I guess my life total isn't irrelevant. They're just playing that guy. Okay. Well, that was a great draw, as it usually is. Every time we've drawn Hollow Scavenger, I've been pretty happy about it. It buffs up my Elvish guy. And then I can go to combat and send with the Goon Squad. If they give -4/-0 to one of my creatures, which they could have, they're still dead, I think. Let's see. They give -4/-0 to this guy. And then they block this guy here. They can only eat one of my creatures at best, I think. Yep. We don't have to do anything here. They have to make the first move. Yep, they do give something -4/-0, so they're not quite dead. We can save our guy. We don't even have to save our guy, because we can just play 2 new guys. So they're going to go to 1. I'm going to lose this guy. They're going to lose this guy. I'll have 2 creatures left. 3 creatures left, actually. I'll have 2 new ones in play. Actually, I'd rather just have the Hollow Scavenger. Yeah, this is way better. Sacrifice the food to keep my guy alive. Play the second Hollow Scavenger, which can be a 5/4 if I need it to be. Hold up my food activation in case there was some crazy scenario where they could threaten my life total enough to make it matter. And we got the win! Nice. 4-1 with this deck. As I said before, we want to try out as many decks as possible. So that's going to do it for this run. But 4-1, nothing to be scoffed at. Huge learnings to be done. And also the Hollow Henge Scavenger, or maybe Hollow Scavenger. Whatever that wolf guy was. Just so sweet. I love that guy. I'm so glad we got to try him out. I'm so grateful to Wizards of the Coast for the early access event, so we can, or the streamer event and the early access account, so I can get this recorded early. And let's talk about some of the cards before we wrap this up. As I did mention, if you would like to find my draft guide for the set with things like top commons, archetype overviews, you can find that linked in the description down below. But let's go over some of the cards that we actually got to play with here. Hamlet Glutton was really good that one game. It gained us 6 life and really helped us stabilize in a game that was really tough because we were spell light. Spectre of Mortality basically won us a game. That card was fantastic. I'm so glad we switched to black and played it. High Fate Negotiator also won us a game by being recursive. A lot of the things boil down to how good the recursion was, and Fell Horseman was absolutely fantastic. I was really happy to have this card, and the fact that we wheeled a couple copies of it feels like something that maybe is not going to happen after people get more experience. Scream Puff was okay. The Ariet's Whisper we cast once, and it was pretty solid there. Back for Seconds was great as recursion. Curse was fantastic in our deck. The Hollow Scavengers were amazing, just really generically good card that has synergy with itself and other cards, which is good. The Genealogist was good, especially with the Lookouts. The Lookouts and the Archivist weren't as good as I was hoping they would be, mostly because I don't think this is maybe the best shell for them, because I think with Lookout, you want your 4-drops to generate an aura, so you don't really want the Fell Horsemen necessarily as much as other cards that maybe bring in auras. But the Red Tooth Vanguards were really nice. We had 3 of them. I thought we had 2 for some reason, but 3 of them was fantastic. Prophetic Prism did decent work as a bargain outlet and also fixing our mana for double black on these guys. The Sprawl wasn't super great, but it was there for the Lookout. And then we did have Bestial Bloodline do some decent work one game, helping us get our opponent low and then being a good threat of good combo with the Red Tooth Vanguard. Anyway, that's the post-op on this deck. I really do hope you enjoyed this draft. Hit the like button if you did, subscribe for more, comment with your questions, thoughts, and feedback, and to let me know you made it all the way till the end of the video, in the comments section down below, leave hashtag clutch cards, because in various matchups, various cards came in clutch and won us the game basically single-handedly, such as the Negotiator, or the Spectre, or the Hollow Scavengers. They were all very clutch in their own way. So hashtag clutch cards to let me know you made it all the way till the end of the video. That's going to do it for this one. I'm so excited to hear about your experiences drafting this format, and I can't wait to dive back in myself. I will talk to you folks next time.